Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by chapter, verse by verse study through the entire Bible. We are in the prophecies of Ezekiel. Remember, Ezekiel is um, one of the exiles when it was now living in um, Babylon. Okay, he he is a captive, but they were granted certain freedoms. You could say uh, in their captivity, God still kind of provided for them. He told them that if they would surrender, that it would go well with them. And yeah, to put it in context, well for being captive, for being deported from your homeland, but that was the price of their sin, right? They were rebelling against God. Ezekiel is now living in uh, what do you call by the I don't know, I can't pronounce the cheese bar at the canal. This is where he started off in receiving his vision. We're going to get more into his life as we move on in the book. Last time, remember, he began to talk about his revelation, his vision. And in his vision, he revealed these creatures. Now, hold on, because they get even stranger as we move on. And I shouldn't say strange to try to give off the thing to where it's kind of strange. They're strange, they're certain odd, but it's more so going to be dazzling. In other words, if you see a creature like this, which again we said we get glimpse into what is in heaven. We as I said, we get a slither, a fraction of what is revealed. And kind of have to keep this in mind that the spiritual realm, and then there's this, I'm gonna put like there's the spiritual realm, and then there is the earthly realm or the physical realm. The physical realm comprises, but not limited to, earth, space, and then our space-time continuum, time and space. So if you think about what God created, okay, let me see if I can find my little chart here. No, I got to go back the other way. From time to time, I have done kind of studies on evolution and uh, um, let me see if I can find this evolution and let me see if I can find this quickly here. Where you at here? Here we go. All right, so here is a kind of a chart of the universe as it is rapidly expanding in every direction. Okay. This is another chart of another thing, and this is a scientific chart, so it kind of gives you what they consider a 14 billion year span. So you go all the way back, you go back 14 billion years. To them, it would be the Big Bang. Now, the only point I want to show with this is that here you see the Big Bang and then the universe around it. So the universe around it. Now, think about that. So this would be the universe. If you think about this, I'm trying to think where we would be in this universe here. I cannot see it, but anyway, I think we're in the center as this chart produces it. So we're expanding. Here's my point. The black all around this, which that is the entire image of the universe, which who knows how big it is because we are expanding in every direction at 186,000 miles per second, right? Per second. So just imagine, just in me saying that, how many, how much we expanded. But what I want to say is, look at the black around the universe. So within the universe is our time and space. Outside of the universe is where God exists. Now, to comprise that differently God exists, right? You can say the spiritual realm and the spirit and the physical world. Now, I'm sort of taking liberties with this to kind of give us an idea of what we're looking at here. What exactly are we looking at when we talk about space, the universe? And then, of course, what we're looking at as we see the different revelations of the spiritual realm. So in Ezekiel, we're seeing these creatures. Now there are at least three different times these creatures that are described this way appear. First in Isaiah chapter 6. Secondly here in Ezekiel. And then in the book of Revelation chapter 4. They seem to be the same creature because they both have 6 wings. But they're different in description from one another because um, Isaiah and Revelation describe the 4 different faces. Revelation described them with all eyes all around. And as I said, so they could be 3 different kinds of seraphims, or because Revelations and Ezekiel doesn't define them as seraphims. In Isaiah, it does. And again, it just could be different, the same creatures, shown. I mean, the same creatures with different details, or there could be 3 different revelations. Because we're going to see some coming up, like I said before, that is way off the chart. Okay, and Ezekiel is giving us this insight. But the reason I want to say that is that in the spiritual realm, this is where God exists. Now we know that because on the Mount Transfiguration, we see Moses and Elijah who appeared with Jesus, talking with Jesus about his death. So what is it that we were seeing? Elijah had been dead some 800 years, maybe 850 years. And Moses had been dead for some 1,500 years. And yet we see them talking with Jesus. That gives us a glimpse. See, that gives us a glimpse. So in the spiritual realm, there's a realm that exists. It could be that we can't see it, sense it, feel it. However, when we shed our bodies, our spirits and our souls are there, and they are of substance, spiritual substance, okay? So this is what Ezekiel is looking at when he is describing these creatures, which is, wow, right? Really, really wow. So let me kind of jump into this again because I am lingering a little bit on this because I am kind of flabbergated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and read this again, and then before we move on. All right, here we go. So let's start with verse 4 again. It says, I looked, and there was a whirlwind coming from the north, a great cloud with flashing, with fire flashing back and forth, and brilliant light all around it. In the center of the fire there was a gleam like amber. So now you have this brilliant light, right? A cloud with brilliant light. Okay, so in other words, and imagine now, God has to give Ezekiel the words to kind of describe this so that we can at least give some kind of glimpse of what's going on. Verse 5, the form of 4 living creatures came from it, and this was their appearance. They had human form, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 rings. So again, I don't know how you even draw this. He says their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like hooves of a calf, sparkling like a gleam of polished bronze. Verse 8, they had human hands under their wings and on their four sides. All four of them had faces and wings. Their wings were touching. The creatures did not turn as they moved. We're going to get to that in a moment because, again, the creatures did not turn as they moved. Each went straight ahead. The form of each of their faces was like that of a man, and each of the four had faces of a lion, and of the right, faces of an ox, of the left, and face of an eagle. So, again, as I said, the three different revelations of this just could be each writer is focusing, or each revelation is focusing on different details. So these could be, again, the same three mentioned, and then they also could be three different kinds. As there's no telling how many creatures like that in heaven. Remember that in the book of Revelations, we get this revelation that Satan drew a third of the stars of heaven, signifying angels, which would tell us 2/3, did not rebel against God. So what is that number? It's an innumerable number of angels. So Yolanda says that their faces was like, it says that is what their faces was like. Their wings were spread upwards. Each had two wings touching that of another, and two wings covering its body. Each creature went straight ahead, wherever the spirit went to go. They went without turning as they moved. Now let's go to 13. Then it says, the form of the creatures, living creatures, was like the appearance of burning coals, of fire and torches. Fire was moving back and forth between the living creatures, and it was bright, with lightning coming out of it. The creatures were darting back and forth like flashes of lightning. Now think about that. They would just boom, the speed. And remember, they would move in a straight line, so just like the blink of an eye. Verse 15, when I looked at the living creatures, there was one wheel on the ground beside each creature that had four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their craftsmanship was like a gleam of beryl. And all four had the same form. Their appearances of a craftsman was like a wheel within a wheel. When they moved, they went in any of the four directions without pivoting as they moved. Okay, so again, so that's why I said, if we were to see this, this would be so dazzling to see how they would just move, boom, 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 at the flash of a light. That's how fast they move. Verse 19. Now, verse 18. The rims of the rims were large and frightening. Each of the four rims were full of eyes all around. So when the living creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them, and when the creatures rose from the earth, the wheels also rose. Whenever the spirit wanted to go, the creatures went in the direction the spirit was moving them. The wheels rose alongside them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels, and when the creatures moved, the wheels moved, and when the creatures stood still, the wheels stood still. And when the creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose alongside them. But the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. All right, so this is this is amazing. This creature, the description of these creatures here. And again, we probably won't fully understand this until we get to heaven. Till we actually get to heaven, and then we actually are able to get to heaven and see what's going on. This is, again, but it's amazing. And again, I'm resisting. I don't want to get to me trying to describe it because again, I'm kind of not understanding. Other than it would be frightening to look at, but dazzling and exciting to look at, to watch the movement of these creatures. Sometimes I think about this as when you think about one of the most expensive Swiss watches, how precise they're made. And of course, there's no comparison to that. My point is that these things move with such precision and speed and grace, with dazzling. Okay, so verse 22: the shape of the expanse, with the gleam like awe-inspiring crystals, was spread out over the head of the living creatures, and under the expanse, the rings extended one towards another. Each one of them also had two wings covering their bodies. When they moved, I heard the sound of their wings, like a roar of mighty waters, like a voice of the Almighty, and a sound of commotion like the noise of an army. And when they stood still, they lowered their wings. A voice, a voice came from above the expanse. I don't know what this expanse is, okay? When we think about an expanse, what exactly is being described here, okay? Some kind of, not atmosphere, but again, I don't know. A voice came from the expanse above their heads, and when they stood still, they lowered their rings, and the shape of a throne with the appearance of sapphire stone was above the expanse. There was a form with the appearance of a human on the throne above. From what seemed to be his waist up, I saw a gleam like amber, with what looked like fire enclosing it all around. From what seemed to be his waist down, I also saw what looked like fire. There was a brilliant light all around him, and the appearance of a brilliant light all around him was like that of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. This was the appearance of the form of the Lord's glory. And when I saw it, I fell face down and I heard a voice speaking to me. Okay. So this here, all I can say is wow. That what he is seeing, notice he said, of God's glory. Now, when the term glory is used on a much, much lower scale, glory simply means the brilliance of someone that is showcased, that is seen. So, for example, if I come to your house and I see a wall full of um, um, certificates, a wall full of trophies, right? What are they? What is that? That is showing your glory. This is what you accomplish, right? So when we talk about God's glory, when you would see God, the glory, the experience, the glory that we would see, okay? And this is what you would look at. You would look at it so much that we would shrink away and dazzle. So we have yet to experience that. We have yet to see that, the glory of God. And one of the reasons why we haven't seen that, Adam might have experienced that. And during the time that Adam would have experienced it, wouldn't have been shame, would have been, in a sense, no shrinking away. Because remember, Adam went from life to death, spiritual life to spiritual death. And since that time, we have been alienated from that presence of God. See the presence of God. So we have yet to see that. We get a glimpse here from the revelations that is revealed, but no way can we won't know until we actually go to heaven and we see the glory of God. All right, guys, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome, and I'll see you in the next study.